Now joining us to discuss this is a Nigerian political activist, co-founder of the Bring Back Our Girls movement, Aisha Yesufu. Good morning, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, great to have you. I mean, there's too many aspects of the whole, situation here that, we hope that we can discuss. But let's first of all just have you share your thoughts generally on what has played out in the last, 72 hours, averagely.
I think for me, generally, what has played out is that the Nigerian police has behaved as if the same way that terrorists and, bandits usually do to citizens in Nigeria, which is to go in and abduct a Nigerian citizen. That's exactly what they have done. And it's so surprising that along that also, like we've heard from the lawyer there, they've gone on to also pack the phones of people, property of people. So you're wondering what is going on. And at the end of the day, the Nigerian police has always shown itself to be a willing tool of oppression that is used to oppress Nigerian citizens. And it's really very shameful. In this kind of situation, you expect the Nigerian police to be a law enforcement agency and be an unbiased party in whatever it is that is happening. But at every time, they always show themselves up to be biased and, be very high-handed and behave in this high-handed manner. How do you go about abducting someone all the way from Lagos State, taking him to Ekiti State in such manner that they did? It's really crazy. A few months ago, I did ask a question, is the Nigerian police a law enforcement agency or is it a criminal enterprise? And I think every day they go on to keep answering that question themselves.
I mean, it's just really heartbreaking to see that we are where we are as a country and that, we continue to keep having the same conversations about the Nigerian police. You've talked about them being a willing tool in the hands of individuals. Obviously, they've been used to set the law in motion against Nigerians who have rights. Would you say that this is as a function of the fact that a number of them don't know better? Or would you say it's the fact that there's just the impunity that nothing will be done about it? Or is it a mix of both? What would you say are the factors that emboldens and empowers the police to constantly, go through cycles like this where we have to call them out for infringing on the rights of the Nigerian citizen?
Oh, I would say absolutely it is impunity. It has nothing to do with training. It's all about that thing that Nigerian police will say to you that I will kill you, nothing will happen. We saw on October 2020, indeed that particular statement, was reinforced by the Nigerian state when it killed protesters who had come out to protest against police brutality. We saw recently a video that went out where Nigerian police were saying to citizens that they were going to kill them, shoot them, and that nothing was going to happen, and they would just say that they are either cultists or something, and that's it. So it has nothing to do with training. If today that had to stop, it just takes a moment for them to learn that, if you do something that is wrong, it's going to bad behavior, you're going to be punished for it. But right now what they have is this impunity where they feel they can do anything and they are always at the beck and call and, open to the highest bidder, whoever it is that is going to pay them, whether it's through cash connection, wherever it is, and then they will use it to oppress people's fundamental human rights. It's a huge failing of the state. And at every opportunity, the Nigerian police have always shown itself to be to not have its allegiance to the people and to the constitution, but rather to whoever it is that has the power, whatever power that may be, whether it's financial power, political power, some connections out there. And I think it's something that really needs to stop. And for a very long time, the Nigerian police has been pushing the Nigerian people. They're not reading the room. They're not seeing how tired and angry citizens are. We saw, a few days ago where a a video had gone viral where someone was actually beating up the two members of the Nigerian police force who had beaten him and put him on the floor. This their high-handedness is getting out of hand, and I think they need to really caution themselves before they get to a place where we used to have a time in Nigeria where police were afraid of wearing their uniform, outside of their station because of what might happen to them. We're slowly getting to that place where people are sick and tired of their excesses, and I think it's high time they begin to do better.
But, with all you've said, none of this is done without the influence of certain people. Yes, I think Nigerians have complained, for many, many years about the high-handedness and the impunity of the Nigerian police every now and then. But, this is also aided by people who choose to weaponize them, allegedly sometimes. And so, isn't this also a Nigerian problem? Isn't this also an elite problem in Nigeria? Like you've mentioned, people who can afford, these things. Shouldn't that also be a thing that we should speak about?
Well, the thing is that if the police is not a willing tool for people to weaponize and use them as a weapon of oppression, then it's about when you talk about market forces. If it's not available, you're not going to go out to buy it. There are people in other countries who have influence who would love to use the state security agencies, but they don't have the opportunity because the state doesn't allow them to do that. So I think for me, it's not really about even focusing on citizens and individuals, but the fact that there is a capture that is there. There is the security at the beck and call of some people, and especially when the state does not, when the state constantly uses this, the police also to go to oppress citizens, then they become available for other citizens to use them to oppress other citizens. If the Nigerian police understand the fact that their responsibility and their allegiance is to the people, is to the constitution, they won't come and oppress the people. And then also, if the Nigerian police are punished for the bad behavior that they exhibit, then they won't be willing to for them to be used anyhow. But you have a situation whereby in Nigeria there's a state capture. Even the judiciary doesn't do the things that it's supposed to do. So when you also go to court and take the police to court, instead of them to be punished, it drags on and on and on, and they get away with their bad behavior. Then it gives that incentive for them to continue to behave badly. So I think it's all about impunity. It's all about not understanding that there's a need to protect, citizens, but rather an understanding that they are a tool to be used for oppression, like I had said earlier. And then because it's incentivized, they continue to do it and get away with it. The Nigerian police it behaves like a terrorist organization, behaves like a criminal organization. I mean, the way they behave, one will be forced to call them that they are more of a criminal enterprise and a terrorist organization than they are of a law enforcement agency. Because consistently the Nigerian police force has been tagged as the worst in the world. It has gotten that title several times, and there hasn't been any need for them, any incentive for them to change, to do better, and so they continue to behave in this rogue manner.
When the people at the helm of affairs, so the elite that we refer to, that oftentimes use the police as a tool for manipulation, a tool for infringing on the rights of innocent Nigerians and citizens, when they often report their case to the police, and this is an argument that I've heard from a number of them who have maybe been accused of setting the law in motion wrongfully against Nigerian citizens, when they report to the police, some of them would argue that they've made a report, and then the police, in their own wisdom, then decides on how best to go on with this investigation. So in this case, he's accused Chief Afe Babalola in a post on his Instagram 22 hours ago. He accused Chief Afe Babalola of being the one behind all of this in Ekiti State. Do you think that, is it any defense that maybe he must have made his report and the police decided to act on their own accord? Or do you think that there's a shared blame here?
Well, the Nigerian police that we do know, they're extremely lazy and they don't do anything without an incentive. If it was just a matter of reporting, we've come across our fair share of dealings with the Nigerian Police Force, and you will report something, they wouldn't even move from where they are. Armed robbery will be happening. Now, if you have someone has that even has a channel to call the Nigerian police and say to them, either armed robbery is happening or terrorists are doing something or the other, they don't move, they don't do anything. They will sit where they are and start telling you stories that either they don't have fuel in their car or they can't come out, how many things are there. So most times the usual, so it's not the kind of organization or security outfit that it's when you give them something to do, they do it in such a way that they go overboard in doing it. There has to be an incentive, like I said earlier, for them to actually do it. So usually it is always from the part of the person who is making the report on the kind of thing that they want or whatever, or the access or the connection that the person has that makes them to do that. So it's always that particular thing. Or sometimes also, you know, the way the Nigerian thing is maybe the order from above coming down in and telling them that, hey, they need to take this on and go the extra mile. So I don't think it's usually a question of the Nigerian police just waking up because you've reported something to them and then they go all out way and do what they want to do. Usually it's always the instruction of the person who is making that report. And if someone feels that they have been defamed, the law is there, you know, go through, you know, the process of the law. Yeah, it might be very tiring, it might be very annoying, you know, it's because the hand of justice grinds you slowly, especially in Nigeria, before you get anything done. But I think all of this is a show of power, show of force, and that some people just think that they're going to do. And for me, it's really quite surprising that someone who is a son, someone who as a lawyer would sit back and allow, you know, police to do this to another citizen because they feel defamed. Every day, I mean, people defame us, people say all sorts of things against us, but you don't go around carrying the police to go and arrest someone and do all sorts of things to them. Even though the police is available sometimes for a few naira or whatever it is, whether it is money or it is one reward or the other, they are ready to do the bidding of oppressors. But I think the Nigerian police should get into the 21st century and leave the 19th century that they have refused to leave and begin to do, you know, begin to act right so that they will begin to have the respect of citizens and not the disdain of citizens.
I mean, I also want to, you know, ask, I mean, if it is true, as alleged by Dele Farotimi now, that this ordeal is, you know, maybe being orchestrated by Chief Afe Babalola, you know, SAN, you know, will that be disappointing, you know, knowing the caliber of person we're speaking about here?
Absolutely, it will be extremely disappointing. For me, just looking at this, I'm like, if this turns out to really be the fact that indeed it is Chief Afe Babalola that is doing this whole thing, that has decided to go to use the police, even though the police is a willing tool of oppression, to use them as that tool against another individual because he felt defamed, instead of following, you know, the right process of the law. It will really be a shame. And I remember as one who is a co-host on a place at the table that usually airs on News Central, there was an advocacy that was brought in where the Ekiti State House of Assembly, if I'm not mistaken, had refused to give, you know, Chief Afe Babalola a day, you know, set aside for him. I think the state government had wanted to give out a day set aside for him to celebrate him, and they had refused. And we had felt at that time, with all the things that he had done, why would the State House of Assembly refuse for him to have this? This is someone who is almost 100 and stuff like that. But in the last 24 hours, I've had to ask myself, indeed, maybe there are things that we don't know that the Ekiti people know more than us, and that was the reason why the State House of Assembly refused to honor him with something with a day given to him. So with this kind of oppression, if this can be done, go all the way to Lagos, like we're hearing now, this is alleged that it's on his instance that they went all the way to Lagos to pick someone and bring the person, to Ekiti State. What oppression have the people of Ekiti State been going through under this particular individual?
Just to mention, I mean, since we're speaking about the personality of Chief Afe Babalola, who, many Nigerians and law-abiding Nigerians would assume and say that because he's a lawyer, there are higher expectations from him. The Nigerian Bar Association, through its president, has put out a post on X. They've given their press statement, and part of it was reiterating that this is a crime of libel, that libel ceased to be, ceased to be an offense in Lagos State, a criminal offense in Lagos State. They've criticized the invasion of the law firm and the way that his arrest was carried out. Do you expect that there are certain other things that maybe the Nigerian Bar Association need to do to checkmate incidences like this from reoccurring? And what sort of picture does it paint? Do you think that this in a way reflects badly on the Nigerian Bar Association or the body of the judiciary, the body of lawyers? Do you think it reflects badly?
Oh yeah, it actually does, because the two people, if it's the allegation, it's right that indeed it's Chief Afe Babalola that it's doing this. They are members of the Nigerian Bar Association, and they are the ones who are where one is now using the police, even though the police is a willing tool of oppression. There has to be a certain degree of self-restraint and discipline that does not allow one to actually use them, even though they are a willing tool of oppression. And for a senior member of the bar to go ahead, and willingly use the Nigerian Police Force in this manner, I mean, it says a lot about the association. It reflects on the association, rather. Let me use those words. It reflects on the association. But I must say that it's commendable that the Nigerian Bar Association has actually put out a statement. We know hitherto they probably wouldn't have done that, or just simply look the other way. But I think they need to go ahead and begin to devise means of punishing, their members who don't follow the law the way it should be followed, or who allow themselves to oppress, other people, not just even when it is other lawyers alone, but other people. We must understand the fact that we're living in a country where everything literally has failed. Organizations have failed, institutions have failed, security outfits. We rather do things that are outside of the law than things that are within the law. And every individual must make that conscious effort not to willingly use the tool that is available, that is against his sanity, or against the Constitution, against upholding justice, as the case may be. And this whole arrest has gone on to indeed show that whatever it is that Mr. Dele Farotimi had written in his book, that indeed there's an element of truth in it. This is going ahead to just prove what was written in that particular book. And the fact that the justice system has been criminalized and being used against the people by certain people, and some people are using it to get advantage that they shouldn't be getting.
Some might also describe this, as a tactic to also silence dissenting voices in Nigeria today, which of course, you might be one of those who have been, who has been very vocal, about, the ills in our society, and of course, bad governance. There's that aspect, but I also want to, ask, we have a new CJN, Justice Kekereekun, and of course, she's made promises to clean up the system. What do you think happens next? Do you expect any changes? What would you also recommend, for the average Nigerian going forward?
For the average Nigerian going forward, I think one of the things that need to happen is that people need to be very vigilant, and people need to be watchful, and people need to connect the dots. A few weeks ago, I would say also on a place at the table on Central TV, a program that normally comes up 8 p.m. on Sundays, I had done an advocacy, and I said people should connect the dots, that they were trying to silence the voices of people that usually speak up. There were smear campaigns, going on. There were attacks. There were arrests going on. So these are all part of a grand scheme. And if you really are following and connecting the dots, you will see whereby if you can't get someone through certain way, use another way to be able to get them, and just use whatever it is. And as long as you're oppressing that voice, as long as you're taking that voice away and taking them out of the system, sometimes these are some of the things that are being done. We've seen something similar like this that had been done to Agba Jalingo, and he spent years, being incarcerated, which is definitely what we do insist on. It's not going to happen here. Beyond just hoping is for Nigerians to come out and understand that when one person is affected, we all are affected. That right now it's not just Dele Farotimi that has been arrested, but every Nigerian citizen with a voice, every Nigerian citizen who wants the right thing to be done, every Nigerian citizen who speaks out for Nigeria has also been arrested. And the CJN well, the world is watching, and it's for her to understand that whatever it is, it's not about the position that it is today. It's about what effort that will be done, what legacy will she leave down for Nigerians that are going to come after us 100 years from now. Would they remember that there was someone who stood for justice and insisted that justice prevail in Nigeria and not be a puppet to the paymaster? The judiciary right now is in shambles. The judiciary has been captured. The judiciary, it's just like the police, is also a willing tool of oppression that is being used to oppress the people. And this is a time for us to know whether indeed she is ready to fight the corruption that is there. The other time, indeed, of course, there were certain judges and justices that had been, suspended, for some of them for different crimes like falsification of age and all of that. Well, that was quite commendable. But it's not just to do tokenism or one or two things. It's to take those hard decisions. It's to take those hard stands. She must put herself out. We've also seen where she has gone on to frolic with people who have cases before the courts, like when the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, did some party to celebrate the fact that she had been made a CJN, and she was there, she attended that, which was extremely wrong, which sent every signal to all the oppressors and wannabe oppressors that indeed it is business as usual, and she's offering the judiciary as a willing tool. Because how are you going to explain the fact that the same person who happens to have cases before you, who we will appear before the court up the way to the Supreme Court, is throwing a party for you, and you're frolicking with him and celebrating with him? So even in those kind of body language, she has sent out to the oppressors that it is business as usual, and the oppressors and wannabe oppressors that it's business as usual, and of course they should continue the things that they do. But I sincerely pray that she proves us wrong, and just stands for justice, and ensure that Nigeria gets away from the banana republic that it has become, and begin to have sanity, where justice should be the first thing that is on the table. Because at the end of the day, without justice, we won't have peace, and we will continue to have a police force that behaves more like a terrorist organization than a law enforcement organization.
That you've mentioned justice, I think my question would be, in this case, with Dele Farotimi being arrested, you have spoken strongly, several other leading voices like Dr. Omoyele Sowore, Omoyele Sowore, His Excellency Peter Obi, and a number of people have spoken strongly asking for the release of Dele Farotimi. But if you see the reports, for example, the one that News Central did, the exclusive report we did, we interviewed the cleaner who talked about being slapped, who talked about her phones being stolen. We all saw the video clip. What will justice for Dele Farotimi be? Would it be just to release him? Is that enough?
No, absolutely not. Just releasing him, it's not enough. It's to find all of those officers that were part of this abduction, because this is not an arrest, this is an abduction, and it should be criminalized, and every one of them needs to be punished. It's also to look at to ensure that all the phones that they have stolen, because this is stealing, this is what were they taking those phones for goodness sake? Did they think that it's just stealing? Ensure that everything is brought back, and also justice for the cleaner and all the staff that were manhandled and those that were beaten and all of that. They also need justice, and if possible, there should be a monetary compensation that comes with it. The Nigerian Police Force need to start paying a lot of damages for its high-handedness and the way it behaves, since it doesn't understand the fact that they should do the right thing. They probably, by the time they begin to slap fines on them, and that would also be a way for them to not start behaving very well. It might be that incentive that they need for them to begin to behave very well. Civil matters should be left for the courts. It's not the business of the Nigerian police. And I remember there was a particular time when the Nigerian police would not even want to meddle in this whole thing. And I would say it comes down also to leadership. We had a time when there was an IG of police, that would ensure that, the police, at least to an extent, do not take part in, civil matters. Even like you will hear from the courts, from the police themselves, they will be like, oh no, we don't want to participate in this, because at the end of the day, the courts were really fining them, and they were paying this money. This monies were being paid out. But now, we've gotten to a situation whereby you have an IG of police who literally tells you that he's sort of like a puppet to someone, and so he's going to behave anyhow, and it's going to pass down to his men and women being down there. But one of the things that I find very, very disturbing is the fact that constantly, this high-handedness that Nigerian Police Force exhibit against its citizens who haven't done anything, they don't exhibit it to terrorists, they don't exhibit it to bandits, to the extent that, Nigerian policemen and women will be killed like chicken, in such very brutal manner, and you will not see anger coming from the Nigerian Police Force. You will not see them going after these criminals, who are killing our citizens, who are also killing their members. They do nothing. A few days ago, a lawmaker, was abducted by terrorists / bandits. You never know which is which now, and he was abducted, and his police orderly were killed. This kind of behavior that we saw them exhibiting in abducting Mr. Dele Farotimi, we would want to see them exhibit that against terrorists. We will even clap for them. Bello Truji is there every day, insulting Nigerians, insulting the state, the Nigerian state as it is. If the Nigerian police go after them, the Nigerians will hold them, go and exhibit this power that you seem to have, these arms that you have, but don't use it and oppress citizens and abduct citizens and also steal the properties of citizens. You can't be paying, you're being paid by taxpayers' money, and then you're oppressing, you're a willing tool of oppression against those same taxpayers. It doesn't make sense.
Aisha Yesufu, thank you very much for sharing your time with us this morning. Thanks for speaking with us. We, of course, will look forward to having you join us again.
Thank you so much for having me.